Welcome to the anointed ones. Much is expected of those who give generously. Luke 1248. But what if the gift isn't money, fame, or power, but something far more dangerous? What if it is wisdom? Not just any knowledge, but a depth of insight that makes people uncomfortable and causes them to question reality itself. This is a fact. The human brain processes around 11 million bits of information each second. However, the conscious mind can only process around 50 of these. Consider yourself one of the few who can see what others don't. Connect dots before they emerge. And look through others as if their souls were glass. That is the burden of the selected ones. You have the knowledge of King Solomon. And it scares people. It is not just intellect. It isn't even intuition. It's as if life whispered secrets to you that no one else was intended to hear. And now people look at you strangely, asking how you know these things. Why do you constantly appear to be 10 steps ahead? Most importantly, why do they feel nervous just being around you? But do not worry. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is reality. And by the end of this, you'll know precisely why your mind works differently, why others respond to you the way they do, and why, whether you like it or not, you were never intended to blend in, but rather to stand out. Number 1 is the burden of understanding the affliction of early knowledge. The selected ones do not become enlightened by chance. Their intellect is not a product of books, schools, or mentors. It stems from something far more brutal, existence itself. They were not afforded the luxury of ignorance, while others might learn things when they were ready. Chosen ones were thrown into the flames first. They needed to comprehend things before they were meant to. This explains why their intelligence seems abnormal. Most individuals develop understanding gradually and incrementally over time. The chosen ones, on the other hand, are subjected to a kind of forced acceleration. They are forced into circumstances in which they must either figure it out quickly or face the repercussions. Their brains sharpen not because they want to be brilliant, but because they must be. This is where the disconnect occurs for everyone else. Wisdom is a gradual process, but for the selected few, it is a sudden violent awakening. They are not given the opportunity to gradually comprehend. That was a sudden plunge into the unknown. When they emerge, people stare at them oddly. How come they know so much? How can they comprehend things that others need decades to grasp? But now comes the nasty bit. This level of intellect comes as a cost since they learn so much so quickly. They struggle to connect with others their age. Conversations seem superficial, and social standards appear ludicrous. They have a tendency to look right through others, complicating relationships. They end up feeling like outsiders, not because they want to be, but because their brains work at a different level. What most people don't comprehend is that this wisdom wasn't bestowed. It was forced. It emerged from suffering, loneliness, and struggles that no one else saw. And while others applaud their brilliance, they fail to recognize the price paid for it. The selected ones are more than simply clever. They are survivors of a world that many people will never understand. Number 2, the memory of the ancients. You are remembering, not learning. Most individuals gain information. They gain knowledge via experience, books, teachers, and trial and error. Wisdom, however, does not feel fresh to the chosen ones. It seems like something they're recalling. It's as if their thoughts are gathering knowledge from a source that is invisible to the rest of the world. They do not merely learn, they already know. This is what causes the greatest confusion among individuals. Chosen individuals may absorb complicated concepts without being taught. They can forecast outcomes. People's actual intents and understanding of topics that others have struggled with for years is not because they studied more or had better mentors, but because their minds are structured to recover information that others are unaware of. This is why they often feel out of place when others are busy figuring out life. The selected ones have already identified the patterns. They notice cycles that have persisted for millennia. They have a deeper understanding of human nature than most individuals. As a result, they are seldom able to locate someone who understands them. People inquire, "How did you know that?" They believe it's luck or coincidence, but it isn't. It's something deeper, something older. It's as if their soul has been through this before. It's as if they've traversed these pathways in another time and shape. They don't need evidence to determine the truth. They sense it. However, this kind of knowledge may be alienating. It causes individuals to perceive life differently. It causes individuals to examine things that others take for granted, and it distinguishes them in ways that others cannot fully understand. They don't simply seem clever. They seem unearthly, as if they contain secrets that the world isn't ready for. That is the underlying reason why people are attracted to them while yet feeling afraid. It is not just intellect. It's a knowledge that goes beyond rationality itself. Number 3, abnormal pattern recognition. Seeing what others disregard, the chosen ones do not just perceive life as everyone else does. They perceive the underlying patterns, the unseen threads that link individuals, events, and consequences. While most individuals only notice things when they become evident, the selected ones catch up on details much before others. They can detect when anything is wrong. Even if everything seems regular. They detect unsaid tensions in a room, hidden motivations behind a smile, and the true meaning of people's remarks. This is why their intellect seems almost supernatural, when others need concrete evidence. The selected ones comprehend events before they occur. It is not simply intuition. This is a higher degree of pattern recognition. They see how history repeats itself. They recognize the subtle changes in conduct that signal treachery. They understand how energy shifts before to a significant life event. Because they see things before others, they often feel as if they are living in a separate world. This talent is not necessarily a benefit. It might be irritating because they wonder why no one else recognizes what is so evident to them. It might be tiring since they can't turn it off, but others go about their lives blissfully ignorant. The selected ones are always aware of too much. They see someone lying while others believe them. They notice manipulation cycles before others do. They can see when something is about to come apart before it ever cracks. This also makes them difficult to deceive. They can see through trickery in an instant. They can sense when someone is acting, when their words don't match their energy, or when a situation isn't as it seems. This makes them both useful and terrifying. People want to share their views, but they also dread being exposed. That is why many people respect them or shun them entirely. This is why many question how the selected ones are so intelligent. It is not just intellect. It is the capacity to perceive what is concealed. They do not wait for the truth to be revealed. They notice it much before the rest of the world does. Number 4, the loneliness of over-understanding. The loneliness that comes with profound insight is more than simply feeling different. It's about perceiving the world in a manner that many people refuse to do. The selected ones don't just grasp stuff. They know too much. They look beyond the surface, beyond the diversions, and behind the comfortable falsehoods that people hold on to. Because of this, individuals often feel as if they are speaking a language that no one else understands. Most individuals do not want to know the whole truth. They choose the kind that is easier to digest and allows them to sleep at night. They refuse to admit their own dishonesty. The manipulation in society, or how history continues to repeat itself because individuals never learn. However, the selected ones do not have the luxury of living in blissful ignorance. Their brains are geared to see patterns, notice paradoxes, and pick up on details that others miss. This produces a subtle sense of seclusion. It is not the loneliness that comes with being physically alone. It's the loneliness of knowing too much in a world that would rather not know. Small chat bores them, making conversations seem superficial. Friendships seem uneven since they are always the ones who understand, but are seldom understood. Relationships become challenging because they can detect conflicts before their partners acknowledge to them. People respect their knowledge but do not share it. They seek them out for counsel, assistance, and clarification. However, they seldom provide the same depth in return. After a time, the selected one stops anticipating it. They learn to keep their insights to themselves, to speak only when necessary, and to withhold the entire weight of their knowledge, not because they don't want to share it, but because they've discovered that most people aren't ready for it. The deeper their intelligence, the more remote they become, not because they want to be, but because there are so few brains capable of meeting them at their level. That is a unique kind of loneliness. Number 5. Divine irony. You are the instructor, yet nobody believes you. The world has an odd habit of rejecting truth when it comes from unexpected places. People have been conditioned to think that knowledge looks a specific way. An elderly sage with years of experience, a professor with numerous degrees, or a spiritual teacher who has spent decades alone. However, when knowledge comes from someone who looks like them, has no anticipated qualifications, and is not placed on a pedestal, they refuse to take it seriously. This is the frustrating irony of the selected. They hold insights that have the potential to transform people's lives, prevent errors, or modify viewpoints in ways that others sorely need. However, instead of listening, they hesitate. They second-guess. They are resistant. Not because the knowledge is faulty, but because it does not match their expectations. If a so-called expert conveyed the same truth, they would believe it without doubt. However, coming from the selected ones makes it seem too familiar. For some reason, people struggle to accept greatness from individuals they see as equals. Even more aggravating, these same folks often return after learning the precise lesson they neglected. They immediately understand the selected one was correct all along. However, by then, the harm had already been done. The warnings remained unheeded. The knowledge was squandered, and the cycle continues. This is why the chosen ones often find themselves in an unusual situation, knowing precisely what others need to hear but having to watch while those same individuals reject it. It's like having the answers to an exam while everyone else fails because they don't think you have the key. Eventually, the selected ones learn to be discriminating. They quit spending words on those who don't listen. They wait for the few who are willing to face the reality. When they discover them, their knowledge will finally serve a purpose. Until then, they must face the divine irony of being a teacher. Nobody believes until it's too late. Number 6. Time Traveler's Mindset. Consider the next few decades. The selected ones don't just think differently. They think forward. Their thoughts work on a chronology that does not correspond to the current moment. While others are focused on what is directly in front of them, the selected ones are already planning what comes next. They can identify patterns before they emerge, grasp repercussions before they occur, and forecast outcomes while others are still learning the fundamentals. This makes things difficult. They attempt to warn others of things that are clear to them, yet no one listens. They provide ideas with the potential to revolutionize industries, relationships, and attitudes. However, many people criticize ideas as impractical or overly extreme. Years later, the same ideas become commonplace, and those who criticize them suddenly claim to have made a significant discovery. The picked ones do not get credit. They do not get acknowledgement. They just observe as the world finally catches up to what they already knew. This separation leads to a continual sensation of loneliness. They inhabit a world that moves too slowly for them. Conversations seem monotonous since they have previously discussed these issues years ago. People seem obstinate because they refuse to recognize what is coming, even when the signals are obvious. The selected ones don't just think beyond the box. They left the box a long time ago. But society is still trying to find out if the box even exists. They eventually learn to keep their observations private. They recognize that most individuals can only absorb what they are prepared for, and that imposing information on them is ineffective. So they observe, wait, and let time prove them correct. Not because they need affirmation, but because they have embraced. True visionaries are highly regarded throughout their lifetime. It's a bizarre life to know the future before it occurs while still having to wait for everyone else to catch up. However, it is the cost of being ahead of your time. And the selected ones have been paying for it throughout their lives. Number 7. The hefty crown. Intelligence seems like a burden, not a gift. Wisdom is more than simply information, it is a weight. People romanticize intellect, as if it were a superpower. But the reality is far from glamorous. The selected ones don't just ponder more profoundly. They feel more intensely. They look beneath the surface, beyond the illusions, to the raw, painful reality of the world. And the truth is heavy. Most individuals have the luxury of ignorance. They may disregard their own weaknesses, believe in soothing falsehoods, and avoid confronting the harsher parts of human behavior. But the selected ones are not given that choice. They recognize manipulation when it occurs, even when others fell for it. They detect destructive cycles long before they occur. They can sense the energy change in a room. The unsaid anguish in someone's voice, the weight of words that others dismiss as insignificant. Constant awareness is taxing. It makes partnerships tough since people can see through dishonesty. Even when it is mild, it drains social situations because they pick up on everyone's vulnerabilities, secret motivations, and silent suffering behind artificial grins. They don't simply absorb knowledge, they also absorb people. The more they see, the lonelier it becomes. Because few people know what it's like to bear so much emotional and intellectual weight. Here's the sad part, since they're so sensitive, people believe they can handle anything. They become the go-to problem solver, the emotional anchor, the one who always knows what to do yet carries them, understands their challenges, and provides the same level of care that they do for others. In most cases, no one. This is why genuine, profound, all-encompassing intelligence seems like a burden rather than a blessing. It isolates. It's overwhelming. It pushes the chosen ones to navigate a world that is not designed for those who see everything. Nonetheless, no matter how large the throng, they refuse to remove it because they are unable to. Number 8 is the unfair exam. The smarter you are, the more problems you will confront. Life does not treat the selected ones fairly, while others learn via gradual experience. The selected ones are plunged right into the deep end. It's as if the universe sees their potential and chooses to expedite the process, pushing them to confront obstacles that most people would not face until much later in life, if at all. They are confronted with difficulties that seem to be beyond their years from an early age. They are betrayed before they can grasp trust. They learn about loss before they have truly experienced innocence. They confront difficulties that others would not be able to endure, not because they deserve to suffer, but because knowledge is not provided. It is earned. And the only way to genuinely understand anything is to experience it. This is why their intellect seems abnormal. People marvel how you know so much. Why do you seem older than your age? What they don't comprehend is that behind every profound revelation is a terrible experience that caused that wisdom to emerge. The selected ones did not wake up one day with a deep grasp of life. They were forced into circumstances in which they had no option but to comprehend. This is also why they fail to connect to others while their classmates are preoccupied with minor matters such as existential dilemmas, emotional scars, and duties that should not be theirs. Despite the gravity of the situation, they persevere. Because once life begins to challenge you at that level, there is no going back to ignorance. People believe intellect makes life simpler. Unfortunately, it often makes life more difficult. The smarter you are, the more you notice. The more you see, the more you wonder. And the more you question, the more alone you feel. However, the cosmos does not test the weak. It tries both the strong and the selected. They were never intended to live a normal life. Number 9, mastering the silent phrases is unnecessary. Everything depends on energy. A chosen one does not depend on words to comprehend others. Words are only noise, easily distorted, meticulously manufactured, and often used to conceal the truth. But energy never lies. Before someone opens their words, their energy, body language, subtle adjustments in tone, and the way they make you feel are already speaking volumes. It all says more than their words could. This skill makes the selected ones very hard to fool. They don't require evidence to recognize when something is wrong. They don't need an admission to realize someone is lying. They detect micro-expressions, hesitations, and discrepancies between what is stated and what is felt. They notice the stiffness in a handshake, the avoidance of eye contact, and the fake joy in someone's voice. Others may regard it as an unexplainable instinct, yet it comes naturally to them. This talent both fascinates and disturbs people. Some are attracted to it, intrigued by how the chosen one always seems to know. Others feel vulnerable and uncomfortable with the realization that their masks do not function. Manipulators particularly dislike this skill since their regular approaches fail. They may tell their tales and play their games, but the chosen one sees through them. They don't just hear words. They absorb intents. When someone's energy doesn't match what they're saying, the chosen one understands which one to believe. But this increased knowledge comes at a cost. There is no off switch. They go into a room and can tell who is nervous, who is acting, and who is disguising suffering behind laughing. They are unable to participate in surface-level exchanges without being aware of the deeper emotional currents underneath. Sometimes people have to pretend not to notice since pointing out every lie, contradiction, and concealed truth would be tiresome. This explains why the selected ones move differently. They are cautious about who they let near to them since they can detect people's real character before most others can. They never forget what they've learned about someone's energy. The truth has already been disclosed, regardless of the words that follow. Number 10, the want to lead even when you don't want to. The selected ones do not want to be leaders, yet they invariably end up directing others. It is not about power, position, or attracting attention. If anything, they tend to shun the limelight. But no matter where they go, people see something in them, clarity, depth, and the capacity to see what others cannot. As a result, they are continuously drawn into the position of mentor, even if they don't want to be. It begins early. Friends confide in them regarding difficulties they would not discuss with anybody else. Strangers open up to them without understanding why. Even people who are older, more experienced, or in positions of power look to them for counsel. It is not about age, but about presence. The manner a chosen one conveys an implicit knowledge that others immediately believe. However, this function is not always embraced. The selected ones do not strive to be instructors. They don't want to be the one everyone depends on. They notice the weight that comes with it. The obligation of bearing other people's problems, the weariness of always being the one with the solutions, and yet, no matter how much they try to back away, life continues dragging them forward. People don't seek them out for informal advice. They bring their deepest challenges, most difficult inquiries, and times of crisis. And frequently, the selected ones know the answers, not because they've read it in a book, but because they comprehend life on a deeper level than most others. Their knowledge does not stem from theory. It stems from knowledge. When individuals are lost, they turn to that knowledge. Like a compass pointing north. This is why selected ones often feel as if they are on a journey they did not choose. They haven't sought leadership yet. People follow them. They do not volunteer to be the voice of reason. Nonetheless, they listen. And eventually they quit rejecting it. Because the reality persists, no matter how hard people attempt to avoid it. Some people are just born to lead others, whether they want to or not. Number 11. Seeing through the game of life and seeing when it is rigged, the selected ones do more than merely experience it. They see through it. Most individuals are preoccupied with achieving what they have been taught is important, such as prestige, riches, and approval. The selected ones realize the whole system for what it is. A well-created illusion. They recognize the hidden rules that hold individuals stuck. The unseen factors that impact choices, as well as how society encourages individuals to pursue things that ultimately do not meet their needs. This is why they are hard to manipulate. They avoid the normal methods of fear, shame, and social pressure because they realize who gains from them. They observe how the game is designed to put individuals in a state of tension, competitiveness, and self-doubt. They understand that conventional measures of success, such as climbing the corporate ladder, amassing riches, and earning social acceptability, are often diversions from something more important. And since they are aware of this, they refuse to play by rules that are intended to keep them tiny. This makes them hazardous in the perspective of those who benefit from controlling organizations, businesses, and even people who engage in lying. They're all struggling to cope with someone who looks beyond them. The selected ones are resistant to misleading narratives because they question everything. Why does society promote certain lifestyles? Who profits while people remain fearful? What happens when a person quits seeking external approval and begins to think for themselves? These are the questions that make the system uneasy. However, just knowing that the game is rigged does not disconnect them totally. Instead, they learn how to move differently. They change the rules. They make their own paths. They create lifestyles founded on freedom rather than expectation. As a result, they are now considered outliers. People who don't fit neatly into society's categories yet succeed in ways that others don't comprehend. While the majority of individuals play checkers, the selected ones play chess. And the true secret: they are not just winning the game. They are playing a completely different one. Number 12. The contradiction of being both misunderstood and adored. The selected ones live in a weird paradox. They are revered and misunderstood simultaneously. People are attracted to them for their intellect and insights. However, they are nervous in their presence. People are uneasy with how a selected one thinks and sees things. It is not the selected who want to upset others. It's just the nature of their intelligence. They do not believe in illusions. They do not sugarcoat truth. Most importantly, they prevent individuals from being oblivious to facts they would prefer avoid. When a chosen one talks, they cut through the noise, avoid the excuses, and go right to the core of the matter. People respect such clarity, but they also fight it because it pushes them to see themselves in ways they are not prepared for. This is why so many chosen ones face both acclaim and rejection. They are sought out for counsel. However, they are maintained at a distance. When such counsel gets too genuine, they are admired for their insight. However, it is avoided. When such intelligence discloses things that individuals are unprepared to confront, they motivate individuals. It also makes people nervous since genuine insight necessitates progress, which not everyone is prepared to embrace. This contradiction results in an emotional conflict. The selected ones do not wish to make others uncomfortable, yet they are unable to avoid seeing what they see. They do not want to be put on a pedestal, yet their insights set them distinct. They do not want to be appreciated, but their presence naturally draws attention, and in the end, they learn that profound insight often separates before connecting. Because only a select handful will genuinely comprehend them. Even if many people look up to them, being a chosen one means living in a state of contradiction, being seen but not completely known, revered yet held at arm's length, serving as both a guide and a mirror. Showing people the truth, even when they aren't ready to hear it. Number 13. The unbreakable spirit. Betrayal and isolation. And yet you ascend. The selected ones travel a route. Few can comprehend a journey defined by treachery, solitude, and never-ending endurance tests. They don't merely face difficulties. They feel it at the hands of others. People they've assisted, trusted, and once admired. These are often the ones who turn on them. Why? Wisdom is a double-edged sword. It reveals the truth, yet truth is seldom comforting. When individuals are in the company of a chosen one, they feel exposed not because the chosen one evaluates them, but because their very presence acts as a mirror, reflecting back the fears, self-doubt, separations, and other things that people strive to hide. For many, this kind of exposure fosters animosity. Instead of learning from the selected one, they react aggressively. Rather of pursuing advancement, they desire destruction. Betrayal accompanies the chosen ones because their energy is too strong for small-minded individuals. Friends they trusted became jealous. People who previously adored them now undermine them. Even family members struggle to embrace its depth, judging it as excessive or unusual. It's not like the picked ones are doing anything wrong. They exist at a frequency that most individuals are unprepared to deal with. When individuals are unable to deal with something, they either flee or attempt to destroy it. But here's what makes a selected one apart. They do not remain broken. No matter how many times they are deceived, abandoned, or misjudged, they persevere. Their soul is unshakable not because they do not experience suffering, but because they change it. Every betrayal makes them smarter. Every effort to defeat them simply strengthens their resolve. The world will attempt to break a chosen one exactly because they are indestructible. And this is what genuinely distinguishes them. Not only are they wise, but also resilient. Whatever happens, they will stand. They survive regardless of who turns against them. And no matter how many times they are knocked down, they come up stronger, sharper, and more unstoppable than before. Number 14, the silent understanding. You see the truth, but select when to say it. A selected one does not feel the need to demonstrate their intellect. They don't go about lecturing or attempting to persuade others of their viewpoint. Why? Because they comprehend something that most others do not. Wisdom is meaningless to those who are not prepared for it. Many individuals believe they want the truth, but what they really need is comfort. They want confirmation, not revelation. They want to hear what reinforces their current ideas, not what undermines them. A selected one realizes this early on. They've seen what happens when they overshare with the wrong individuals. Resistance, denial, and even hatred. They've realized that knowledge is more than merely knowing the truth. It's about timing. Knowing when to talk and when to be quiet. This is why the selected ones spend more time watching rather than speaking. They investigate trends. They scrutinize people's conduct as well as their words. They focus on what is not being spoken. And when they do decide to talk, it is never wasted breath. Their words strike with force, striking through illusion like a sword. However, if they think that someone isn't prepared to hear it, they hold back. Because pushing someone to see something they aren't prepared for simply causes resistance. This tolerance distinguishes real knowledge from hubris. An idiot blurts out all they know in an attempt to impress themselves. A selected one awaits. They recognize that some lessons cannot be taught. They should be experienced. Sometimes the most impactful thing they can do is let someone learn the hard way, even if they already know the result. People mistake quiet for passivity. However, in actuality, it is the greatest level of intellect. It is not about concealing information. It is about honoring the process of growing. The selected ones understand that the truth is like a seed. If planted too soon, it will not take root. So they wait. And when the time is perfect, when the ground is prepared, they speak, and their words transform people's lives. The path of a chosen one is not for the faint-hearted. It is a life distinguished by profound awareness, constant struggles, and a wisdom that often isolates before connecting. You notice what others miss. You sense what others deny. You go through life with a unique consciousness that distinguishes you not just academically, but also spiritually, emotionally, and energetically. People admire you. However, they do not really comprehend you. They want your advice. However, I sometimes detest the realities you convey. You experience betrayals, challenges, and periods of loneliness not because you are compelled, but because you are uniquely distinct, particularly in an illusion-filled environment. Is feared and revered. But here's what genuinely defines you as a chosen one. You do not break. You don't shrink down to fit in. You do not mute your intelligence in order to be accepted. You follow your own course, whether or not others approve of it. Despite the hardships, betrayals, and misunderstandings, you continue to climb. Stronger, smarter, and more impenetrable than ever. You were never intended to live an average existence. Your intellect, soul, and resilience. Everything leads to something better. So let the world to misinterpret you. Allow them to question you. Allow them to underestimate you. Because they play their games, obey the rules, and believe in illusions. You see beyond everything. And in the end, that's what genuinely distinguishes you. The selected ones do not seek affirmation. They become the evidence, regardless of whether the world is ready for it. You've come to alter things. That's your fate. And nothing can prevent it. If this message struck a chord with you, if you had that profound aha moment, you already know you're not here by mistake. You are a part of something larger. So don't simply accept this advice and depart. Join the trip. Hit the subscribe button, enable alerts, and never miss the truth that others are scared to express. If this resonated with you, please like the video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who might benefit from it. Let us create a community of minds that see beyond the illusion. This is not just a channel. It is a movement. And, believe me, you want to be a part of it. See you at the next one.